Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour of Business Owner. And before we get started tonight, I just want to share with you our proud sponsor. Tonight, our sponsor tonight is Camaraderie Rescue Mission. And if you don't know anything about Camaraderie Rescue Mission, they help our veterans. They send them on different excursions. And right now, starting March 13th, we are committed to helping 2 female veterans go on the next trip of a lifetime. So if you are a coffee lover, then definitely click on the website here at the bottom, and I will put it in the comments after the show. But click on there, order your coffee today, and the proceeds go to Camaraderie Rescue Mission. So with that, I'm going to bring on our amazing guest, Charlson Gaines. Mr. Charlson, welcome to the show. How are you this evening?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you too. And I have to say, this is second show this week and second show that something has gone wrong. And it's the first time since I've been streaming that this has happened. So we have a saying in live stream, shit happens, and it just happened. It happened twice to me this week.
Yes.
So I apologize for being late, folks. I really am. But with that, Charlson, tell us a little bit about your background and about the business that you do have.
Okay. Well, I'm Charlson Gaines. I'm a disabled veteran, Ph.D. candidate in health psychology. I've just been focused on psychology for a long time. I've been studying it for a long time. And a lot of it is because, when I was in the military, I was actually an intelligence analyst, and very much a part of the combat, a part of the action, right? Supporting those guys, if you will. But while I was in the military for 20 years, I lost a lot of friends and people I know to suicide. There were some that I lost to murder suicides. And it was ridiculous that it kept happening. And then there were other incidents, other tragedies that people went through, such as, sexual assault and other forms of violence. And so it really kind of turned me on to mental health. And one thing that I realized when I was doing my research, working on my dissertation, was that in 2012, over half of the people in the Army who died by suicide had never deployed.
Wow.
So we had this idea that, if you deploy, if you go down range and you experience combat, you come out with PTSD, you're more likely to die by suicide. And it's like, no, there's a lot more to it than just that. And so, I've done a lot of things since I retired from the Air Force in 2014. But I started this company because I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't having the impact that I wanted. I didn't have the creativity that I wanted, and I wasn't able to directly assist people the way that I wanted. So I started KOPE Life, and KOPE Life, KOPE, is for kindness, optimism, positivity, and empathy, with the idea that if we bring those 4 elements to every situation, we're all just going to be better off for it. And so what I do is I do professional speaking, I do one-on-one coaching, I do workshops, I do teaching. And really, it's all about just using what I call the PEN methodology, PEN being positive psychology, emotional intelligence, and neuroscience. Integration of all 3 to create the PEN methodology so that people can literally just be happier. Simple as that. There's a lot of fancy words and all this and that, but the bottom line is I teach people how to elevate their happiness. Simple as that.
I like that. Elevates your happiness. I love that. What is the E in COPE? I was trying to write down as fast as I could here.
Empathy.
Empathy. Okay. Yes. Well, that makes sense. Hello. So kindness, optimistic, positive, and empathy.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure I take notes. So if any of you have any questions for Mr. Charlson, please join us in the comments. We would love to see your smiling faces. I'm presuming they're smiling because, no one has any need to be grumpy. And I love what you said, elevate your happiness. I'm going to have to put that on a board somewhere. Elevate. So, and how long have you been doing your speaking and your coaching and things like that?
I actually started 10 months ago. Well, actually, I
Awesome.
guess 11 now, right? It started in April of 2021. Um,
Awesome.
I was doing a lot of different things, and a lot of people kept saying to me, "You're good at this. This is what you should do full time." And so, really, for me, a lot of it just came from support and encouragement from other people.
Mhm.
And so here I am.
Now, I've heard from a couple other veterans too that I've definitely interviewed and things like that. And part of what I'm hearing is how, when you finally get the nerve to go approach somebody about, you know, the mental health that you have, and you're trying to reach for help, how easy is it to, just say, hey, can I schedule an appointment, or I need to talk with somebody, especially if it's a dire situation and you need to speak with somebody now. How have you noticed that there was a problem being able to get what you needed at the time that you needed it?
For a lot of people, it is, and that's why I integrate so many different ideas and concepts. Because for a lot of people, there's a barrier that you've created for yourself. I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to seem weak, or I don't want to bother people, or I don't know if this person can help me or not. So you come up with these barriers in your own mind.
Mhm.
And the from the emotional intelligence aspect, there's the self-awareness domain where you can figure out, why do I feel like this? Why am I afraid of this? Because one aspect of it really is, you hear all the time, get out of your comfort zone, right? You have to
Mhm.
be uncomfortable, this and that. But I think we have to recognize that for a lot of people's comfort zone, when you're in it, it sucks. It hurts. You don't like your comfort zone. It hurts, but it's not scary.
Right.
And so getting out of your comfort zone is scarier than staying in your misery.
I
Well,
love that.
so one thing I help people to do is figure out why. For you personally, why do you have a problem with it? And it's like that for everything, right? It's not just seeking mental health help. It could be,
Mhm.
calling to schedule an appointment, or you have social anxiety, or just, it could be anything. It's just
Yeah.
figuring out why. Because when you understand why, then you position yourself to do something about it.
I so love that. This the story that comes to mind. I was, the only thing, I found my husband late in life, and great guy, amazing guy, puts up with a lot of different of my ideas, and is very supportive. But I had given up I moved my entire life uh, to be an hour away where he is. I left my parents behind. I left my brothers. I left my nephews behind. I mean, it's not really behind. They're only an hour away, but it's still like I can't just go see them. Right. And so I did this, and I loved being the wife. I loved being a stepmom. But when I was single, I used to do a lot of volunteer work. I used to do a lot of different things, and I gave all that up to come here. And finally, I was just so miserable, and I took a good look at myself and said, "Why am I so miserable?" And it was because I wasn't helping anybody else. I wasn't doing the things that brought me energy. I wasn't doing the things that made me go, like, motivated. So I had that hard conversation. I'm like, I love you, but I also need to do something else. Like, I need to be more than Joe Odell's wife, and I need to be more than Brady Odell's stepmom, and I need to be more than the bookkeeper at Preferred Hot House Foods. You know, I need something that makes me happy. And thank God he was okay with that, because that it obviously involved into two different shows. And meeting you, so it's just amazing. And I think, if you, like you said, if you figure out why you're acting the way you are, and follow the steps and to lead you into that direction, that's the whole key. So welcome, Alexandra. Thanks for tuning in from Ohio. So what three things have you overcome to get you to where you're at right now?
I would say the first thing for me was The first thing for me was really self-doubt, right? So that's the long-term thing is a self-doubt. And so, for example, when I talk about people encouraging me, for the longest time it was not thinking that I was really bringing something of value. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I helped you this one time, but that doesn't mean I'm good at it. And so having to overcome the self-doubt. And so really, that goes back to the self-awareness, right? Understanding what are my strengths? What are my fears? What are my weaknesses? What are these barriers that I'm creating for myself? Another thing I had to overcome was really for me, it was so I had kidney disease.
Oh,
And so I was struggling with that, and my health was declining. And I had gotten to a point where I would go to my job. I would wake up late, go to my job, come home, take a nap, wake up, eat or whatever, and then go back to bed. Um, and then what happened was March 30th of 2020, which would have been my mom's 67th birthday. What happened on that day was I got a new kidney. And
wow.
so for me, part of what I'm doing is, and this is part of overcoming the self doubt is, see Alexandra's, see her comment there. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so for me, it was, I had so much energy. And I said, wow, there are people who have had this much energy their whole lives. What are they doing? So,
Right.
and so what happened with me was that I learned how to manage this process because my mother also had kidney disease and she also had a kidney transplant. And thank you for the congrats there. But so then I learned how to deal with this from her, but she had passed away. And I found out that I got this kidney from some young 19-year-old soldier who, I mean, that means he's a teenager. So at some point in time, this teenager decided to be a kidney donor. And so now that I have a new kidney and I have new energy, I cannot take that for granted. Let
New
me make
life.
let me make it mean something. I didn't earn a new kidney, right? It's like, oh, you won the contest. No, I was fortunate. And so for me, it's now more of my mission. Like every day I have to be worthy of this new lease on life because not everybody gets this. And if I'm not going to take advantage of it, maybe they should have given it to someone else. So let me prove worthy daily in my work, right? Not my value as a human, but I'm talking about my work ethic.
Right. That's powerful. You had a chance at new life, so you took it and you ran with it. And that is powerful. And I just have to say the reason why I was like kind of in shock when you said March 20th is your mom's birthday.
March
Mar-
30th. Yeah.
oh, March 30th. Oh, sorry. March 20th is my dad's actual birthday. So I was just like, what? Worthy of this kidney, so powerful. Absolutely. And kidney donors are essential. So if you're ever on the fence, folks, here's living proof that, your organs do go to an amazing cause. And we thank you for that. We thank you for that. That that's awesome. Um, so what three things have you helped your clients overcome then?
Um, the primary thing that I've helped people overcome is, I'm going to tell you, it's misery in all of its different forms. Whether it's dealing with trauma, whether it's the self-doubt. So many people are hurting because of what happened to them in childhood. So it's helping you overcome that. So really, in various forms, various ways, I've helped so many people overcome misery. And then when you overcome misery, now you've set up like a new floor to stand on. So that doesn't mean you're happy. That doesn't mean you're enjoying life. You're just out of the misery. So if you don't know how to step up and enjoy life and embrace it, you're going to fall back into the misery.
Mhm.
And so what I also help clients do is I've helped them discover themselves. Just like what you were speaking about when you moved an hour away from your family to be with your husband, it was then when you really had to dig into what are your values. It's that self-discovery. So what are my values? I've overcome misery. What's that third thing? How to be happy.
Love that.
How to actually go do things to be happy because it takes action. It takes action. It's like love. You're not just going to be in love. It's an action word. And happiness is the same thing. It takes action, it takes effort. And when you prioritize it, then you can be happy. But you have to believe that you're worthy of the happiness to actually take the action.
That is so true. I find that if you don't think you're worthy, then you're not going to attract what you need in order. Like, you need to find it obviously within first. And if you don't think you're worthy, then you're not going to attract the right people, and to bring that fulfillment out. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but um, it's just like, you want $1 million, you want to attract that $1 million, but if you're throwing negative energy at it, you're not going to get it. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Well, yeah, exactly that. Because the truth is, it's very difficult to go against your beliefs. It's simple as that.
Right.
If you don't believe you deserve to be happy, then it's hard to take action to be happier because it goes against your beliefs. You might want $1 million, and then there's a lifestyle that comes with having more money. But you can look at people who are living that lifestyle and you can believe that you are not worthy of living that lifestyle. So if that's your belief, you're not going to go against those beliefs. You're not going to invest in yourself the same way. You're going to find excuses. You're going to say, well, if I go finish that degree, I might still fail because I'm not a good person or I'm not smart. So you don't even try. You don't even take the first class. You don't even go to the website, things like that. And that goes with everything, right?
Right.
um, Being a better parent, losing weight, making money, getting a promotion, everything in life. It's your belief that pushes you in that direction.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that, because for years, um, I grew up with low self-esteem, and when I was out of my abusive relationship, like, my self-esteem, I thought, was low. It went even lower. Um, and it took a lot of years of healing. And I, at points of my life, didn't love who I was, but yet still wanted to get married. And I thought, well, as long as I had somebody that loved me, then that was all that mattered. When in actual fact, it's the moment I started to love myself, I allow I could allow others to love me. Where before, it's like I was holding them off with one hand, yes, wanting it, but holding them really at a standstill with the other hand, because if you can't love yourself, then you're not going to allow anybody else in. So,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. When we talk about love, it's, are you able to actually receive love? And for a lot of people, the answer is no, because they were in a situation before where they were open to love and it was painful. And when I say open to love, I'm talking about, for some people, when they were toddlers, right? It doesn't have to be romantic relationships. Like, who did you love most in your life and first in your life? Well, it's your parents, your caregivers.
mhm,
So if that hurts, now I'm not even talking about like child abuse or whatever, just
right,
some level of misery, right? Some level of feeling worthless, where you learn early on that you weren't worthy of the certain kind of love. So what happens is you're not able to receive love. You've created that barrier. But in reality, when you learn to love yourself, then you learn to create those boundaries for yourself.
mhm,
And then you know when you can let them down. You know when
right.
you can make room for love.
So I love what you said there, creating those boundaries, um, because good boundaries are good no matter what people think. Like, people is like, oh, well, I'll just say yes to everything. And actually, we were talking about the show, I've said way too much yeses for next week. This isn't a thing that happens all the time, but for next week, I've overcommitted, like, massively. But I also believe that the things that I'm doing, they're for an amazing cause. And so my boundary after next week is to start saying no, even though it's one of those causes, unless I really got hammered over the head by the Holy Spirit and he's like, no, you're doing it. You really need to evaluate, because if you don't put up those boundaries, then people can walk all over you, or you overstep. And like you were just discussing, and healthy boundaries are needed in every relationship. And What are your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, I'm gonna tell you some quotes that I heard, and I wish I could remember who said them. But boundaries are the distance where I can love you and love myself at the same time.
Ooh, that's rich.
So I posted that in my Facebook group, but I don't remember who said it, or rather, who I stole it from. And then I heard something else which really, really caught my attention, and it was that my boundaries have nothing to do with other people's actions. So my boundaries aren't what I'm not allowing you to do. My boundaries are what I will do. So instead of creating boundary that you won't talk to me like that, my boundary is I'm not going to listen to that. So instead of my boundary trying to use a boundary to impact your behavior, my boundaries are about my behavior. I will not tolerate this. I will do this. I will not do that. And so my boundaries are if my boundaries are focused on my behavior, then I have control over those boundaries. It's about me. And then I can take ownership and responsibility.
Right. I love that. I love that. Wow. I'm writing all of these notes. So I hope everybody else that's listening in and on the replay, because this will definitely be on the replay. By the way, go to our YouTube channel, Unstoppable Overcomers, and subscribe. Last time I looked, we were only 7 away from 100. So we're really trying to get there. This week, by the end of this week, it will be done. I just know it. And we'll have to, I believe in celebrating everything. So we're going to have like a really big party over that. What do you think? Okay, so I used to be the type of person that would never celebrate my wins because I was always the type of person that wanted, oh, we're at 94. Um, there was something bigger, right? There's something that I wanted to go afterwards next. So I just get to one thing, not celebrate it. And then I got into this thing where it was all about work, 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 work. And yes, I'm a recovering workaholic. Yes, as you can tell. Um, so, what would your advice be for somebody like that? Um, where was I going with that?
I can just jump in.
Okay, jump in. Yeah,
Yeah, I
jump
can
in.
just jump in. My advice for you is that you're honestly looking at it backwards. Looking at it's a macro level, it's a higher level view. When you're looking down on it, what do you see? You see that I should not be celebrating this because I
Celebrate.
have more to do.
Mm,
But
yes.
when you suppress that positive energy, when you suppress that optimism, you suppress that happiness, you make it harder to get to the next goal. Because the truth of the matter is, people who are in a positive mindset are more innovative, they're more productive, and they're more creative than people who are in a negative or neutral mindset.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. The celebrate everything. The wins.
Exactly. And so then what happens is, instead of saying, I'm not going to be happy until I accomplish this, choose happiness first, and you're more likely to accomplish the goals because you set your mindset up for accomplishing these goals. So let's think about it, right? You've accomplished 3 goals out of 10. And for each of those 3 goals, there was no celebrating. There's no positivity, there's no energy, there's no happiness, no high fives, no hugs, champagne, whatever you do. There's none of that. So now how much more appealing is the 4th goal?
Right.
But if you can celebrate every win,
Mhm.
then it motivates you more to get the next win. And when I say motivate, I'm not talking about from a logical sense. I'm talking about like from a subconscious level. This feels good. I want to do it again. So let's go get this goal.
Right. And what I've started doing is I make sure that I put things on my to-do list. I got an amazing new calendar this year. I decided to do by hour instead of just by day. And so on the side though, I made a list of things that have to get done this week. And as I check them off, I do like a little happy dance because I'm just like so excited. And at the end of the week, I take a look at what I've accomplished, or even at the end of the day sometimes, and just like, like, wow, because I was that person. Um, you know, when I look back last year and think, what did I accomplish? Like at first I was like, oh, well, I didn't get this and this and this done. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I did accomplish this, this, and this. Like, it, and celebrating that instead of just like, okay, well, what's next? Because I'm telling you, I had a coach tell me, write down a list of things you want to do in your lifetime. I had 4 pages typed of things that I truly want to get done before I die. Like it's gonna happen. But that's what happens with us overachievers, high achievers. We want, but we also high achievers with a big heart, because everything that I do is with an intention to help somebody else. Like, you know, yes, the tonight, for instance, having helping the veterans. Yes, people are buying coffee, but then that money goes towards them. So it's just it. And the 24-hour cancer-thon next week. Stay tuned for that, folks. If you have any connection to cancer, you're definitely, we have a 24-hour live marathon going off on 12 different streaming sites. Mine is from 9 till 10 next Tuesday night. But definitely it's going to be a game changer to help raise $50,000 or more for leukemia and lymphoma. And like to help these children to have that life. Could you imagine if people just decided that, they weren't going to help anybody else, and then these poor children with blood cancer are left to their own devices? So that's why I do it. That's my overcommitment for next week, but that's okay.
I love it though. I love it. Just the idea of putting in more work, back to your 4 pages of what you're going to get done. Just focusing on that, because again, it aligns with your values, right? And so we can create this timeline from when you went and got married to next week. And within that timeline, we can see where certain values of yours began to show themselves. We can see where you began to set boundaries on your mindset. I'm no longer going to be a workaholic. I'm no longer going to be full of self-hate. I'm no longer going to waste my time on things that don't matter. And so there's a timeline. Like, we could actually just spell it out from when you felt you were going to use this situation to validate your self-worth to now I have so much to offer. Because when you're talking about doing things to help veterans, to help children or whatever, there's so many people that they honestly sit there and say the words, I wish I could help. It's like you can't spend your whole life wishing.
Yeah.
So you got to get up and do something. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And sometimes I think we get so wrapped up in just, for me, I just get up and I go about my day, and I don't think I'm anything great and special. Like, I'm just an ordinary person, but I have huge goals, right? I'm an ordinary person with huge goals. And when someone says like what you just said, it's just like, yeah, but I'm just me. But not, like you said, not everybody. Everybody's like, well, I wish I could help, but then and not do anything and sit on the couch. Where some of us take action and apply what we know to the action to help others. So thank you for saying it like that, because that just had like a light bulb go off into my head, and I'm sure somebody else had that same thing, light bulb go off in their head as well.
Well, I had a couple of thoughts in response to what you just said. First of all, you say you're an ordinary person. It's about action. If you're an ordinary person taking extraordinary action, you can have extraordinary results.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
And of course, I'm ordinary too. I forgot what the second thing was I was going to say, but I'm sure it was brilliant. I'll think of it
I'm
later
sure it
tonight.
was.
Like later tonight when it's stuff in my face or something, I'll remember. Yeah.
That everything that you have said tonight, definitely, like, Charlson, you have dropped nugget after nugget after nugget tonight, and I just want to thank you so much. If anybody is out there and you think, oh, I wish I had somebody like Charlson helping me, coaching me along, or you want him to speak at one of your events, definitely get a hold of him. His um, all his contact information is in the show notes. And is there any? I put on there your LinkedIn profile. Is there anywhere else that you want people to touch base with you, Charlson?
Um. Well, I'll just say this for me, what it is, come to my profile. And I just want to say that I am having a special event on March 12th, Saturday, March 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Cultivating Happiness Masterclass. And I guarantee you, like full on, like my confidence is so high because I know it's the truth. Full on, in 90 minutes, you will gain the tools you need to immediately elevate your happiness. And if you're still confused, there's Q&A afterwards. But the tools are right there. The tools are right there. I will give them to you. It's a free event. It's a free event. Cultivating Happiness Masterclass, and I just want to help people. Simple as that. Because when you elevate your happiness, you elevate the happiness of everyone around you. Simply put, everyone that loves you and cares about you wants you to be happy. They don't know how to make you happy. So they sit
Exactly.
back waiting for you to do it. So when you elevate your happiness, you're doing what your friends want you to do.
Right.
Being happy is a service to others.
Absolutely. I love that, being of service to others. I love that. Now, do you just help veterans, or do you help civilians as well? Or who is your target client?
Well, my primary clients are veterans, but really I can help anybody. Um, I really connect with veterans more because I am a disabled veteran. But at the same time, I mean, self-awareness applies to everyone. Understanding your values, understanding your boundaries, understanding that you deserve to be happy. That has nothing to do with your job or your past job or your future dreams. You deserve to be happy today.
Exactly.
And so if you don't know how to do that, well, let me teach you.
I love that. And folks, if you haven't gotten enough nuggets in these 33 minutes that we've been talking, like seriously, you need to sign up for his course, which is March 12th. Definitely run over to his LinkedIn profile right now, connect with Charlson, and definitely be there in that course on March 12th. Um, I know you're not going to want to miss it. And thank you so much. Number one, to our guests for showing up and being in the comments, and number two, Charlson, for having you on. This has been such an amazing experience.
Thank
I
you.
never know what's going to come up out of these shows. I mean, like, I do a little bit of a pre-interview with people, but I just really okay, so if God leads me to you, obviously he wants something brought out on the show. And that's, that's what I said before the show. We just have a simple conversation. And there, like, seriously, I have notes upon notes of things that you just dropped. And don't forget to elevate your happiness, people. Elevate your happiness. That's the one thing that, well, a lot of things have stuck out, but I just love that. And
Thank you.
definitely, if you are just catching the tail end of this, there's definitely the replay after this, and go to our YouTube, Unstoppable Overcomer, subscribe, and definitely click on the replay, because you're definitely going to want to watch this one over and over and over again, because Charles is just so amazing and dropping like every nugget every like second.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. With that, folks, have an amazing Wednesday night. And don't forget, same time next week. We will be on time at 7:30. That was my fault. Uh, the timing messed up on LinkedIn. What can I say? Lesson learned. Double check everything. With that, folks, have an amazing evening and be unstoppable.